Welcome back. You're listening to Cindy Laverty Show on CRN Digital Talk Radio. My guest today is Angela Schaefer. She's in studio with me. If you've missed any of the show, I just want you to know that it'll be archived on my CindyLavertyShow.com website this afternoon. Angela, we can certainly get a copy of the show to you in case you want it for your site.
Absolutely.
Angela has a brand new website. She just gave birth to a baby yesterday, too. What's the website, Angela?
It is www.yourstorymatters.net.
Yourstorymatters.net. I'm pretty sure it's linked to my site as well. And you can find her on Facebook and Twitter as well as you can the Cindy Laverty Show. So there you go. All right. So we were talking about before the break how we get stuck, how we move into grace, and all these things. Mm-hmm. How do we find the healing part in each story? Because you say, and I've heard you say this before, mm-hmm. that you wake up one day and you realize that nothing is ever the same again. Mm-hmm. You can never go back. Mm-hmm. And that's how you find the healing component of that. How do we do that?
Mm-hmm. I think that's...
Or how did you do that? Tell us how you did that.
Well, what I did, again, was going back and reflecting on my story, realizing what I had learned through my story, what I had achieved, even though there were all these difficulties and obstacles and tragedies. That's what helped me to realize that I am good enough. I am a loving person. I am valuable. And of course, that end piece was that my story mattered. So all of it came together at one point, and it was like this massive shift that told me it's okay. It's okay that I've made mistakes. It's okay that I've had tragedies in my life. It's okay that everything wasn't how I wanted it to be. I just recently wrote a post about that, about making decisions, and yet they never turn out the way we expect, right? Something changes it.
Right.
And all of that is part of life. And again, it still goes back to perspective. So you can be upset and you can spend your whole life being angry and bitter and not have forgiveness for other people. Or you can make the choice to say, I'm going to learn from this, take what I can from it, and move on.
Let's talk for a second about what that means to have forgiveness for other people. I mean, I think so often people get in the mindset that you actually have to go to that person and say, I forgive you for all that you did. It doesn't mean that.
Not necessarily. I think that sometimes that just doesn't even serve any purpose because the other person may not be willing to admit that they've hurt you or offended you or whatever. They might not be willing to offer an apology. So it's really about you. And you have to, again, within yourself, decide that you're going to forgive and, move on from what this person did to you. It's not an easy process. I've said before, and I'll say it again, that I think part of forgiveness is God ordained. Yes. I don't think as humans we can just tell ourselves we completely forgive someone because there's so much entangled in certain traumas. Someone who's been molested, someone who's had a family member murdered. All these things are very traumatic. They're huge. They're not simple things like someone stealing $20 from us.
Right.
So it is a process of understanding what happened, why this person might have did what they did, but who we are from that and what did we learn from that. And I also tell people that, sometimes we can have grace for other people by realizing they only did what they knew to do, if that makes sense.
Right.
With my own parents, there were things that obviously were not right. They're certainly not ways that I raised my own children, but I was able to realize this is where they came from when they were raising us, my siblings and I. These are the skills they had. These are the resources that they had. And that helped me a great deal to understand that I had needed to have compassion for them in that place to give them grace.
And then you get to make the choice to not, do the same thing that they did, to do something different, to walk a different path.
And you also have the choice to set boundaries.
Yes.
So again, because you forgive someone does not mean that you need to have them in your life regularly or at all. It doesn't mean that you have to, allow them to disrespect you or hurt you in other ways. All back to choices.
Yeah. And as we travel, the journey of life, there are people we have to let go along the way.
That's right.
Can't keep them around forever because they may not be good for you. But that's boundary setting. And I think boundary setting is something that we're not taught in school. We're not often taught at home. Mm-hmm. And you have to sort of figure that out for yourself. So when we tell our story, because your story matters, how does that help us find our life purpose?
Well, I think before you tell your story, you'll find your life purpose when you look back at your story, when you learn about the experiences you've had, and when you start seeing the theme in it. Everybody kind of has a theme about things they've overcome, challenges they've faced, and maybe they start to see, you know, I really am a courageous person, or I really am a creative person, or an outgoing person. There's something there that kind of speaks to your life purpose. And that's kind of something that I learned, that despite my challenges and difficulties, and certainly not being a great person all the time and making good decisions, I was always in this place of caring about other people. I always felt like love kind of traveled with me somehow or another, even in my worst moments, or people would come to me and pour love into me. And so that kind of evolved into me understanding what my purpose is, to help other people, to encourage them, to inspire them. But everyone has their own purpose. So again, when you go back to learning from that story prior to sharing it, then you can share whatever your purpose is. I mean, you can share that this is your purpose and you learn that. You can share how you're living out your purpose. And that's part of what I do on the radio show, is I have people on there who share what they've learned, what they've overcome, and now they're living out their purpose.
Okay, so let's talk about your radio show for a minute. It's heard in Florida, right?
It's actually online, and it feeds out to 132 countries.
Okay, that's fantastic. All right, so you just have people from across the board. It doesn't matter where, but they all have a story to tell.
Yes, they are global guests. We have several people from other countries, so it's not limited to the U.S. And the thing about storytelling is that we all have a story. It doesn't matter what gender you are, what race you are, what religion you are, you have a story. And some, of course, are more interesting and, you know, inspiring than others, but everybody has something to share within their story that could be meaningful. And so, yes, I interview people from across the globe that have overcome some sort of difficulty or challenge and now are living their amazing
life.
Absolutely.
I love that. Are most of your people from the United States, or does it?
I would say at this point, the majority are. We're breaking out more globally because we have so many listeners in other countries.
Right.
So we're adding more and more all the time to our global guest list.
Oh, that's fantastic. So people can find you at yourstorymatters.net, right?
At yourstorymatters.net, they can listen to the prior shows and find the link for the show every week. There's 2 shows a week. Tuesdays is Encouraging Entrepreneurs, and Thursdays is Inspiring Healing.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, we'll be right back with Angela Schaefer's right after the break. You're listening to the Cindy Laverty Show. I'll be right back.